So we went away last October, November, didn't
Nice.
we? Visited quite a few different areas.
We did.
Did you have a favourite guide?
Yeah, I did actually. When we went to Maremi, I loved that anyway, but Bubba was just hilarious.
He was,
like
yeah.
from the moment he picked us up from the helicopter we got there, he came sort of bouncing over, got our bags and straight into the vehicle. But he just had like banter with us from the minute we got with him, didn't he?
Yeah.
And kept taking fun of you all the time, which was hilarious.
Yeah,
Getting it
very
wrong all the
sarcastic.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he stands out as my favourite. Should we get going with
I think
our
so.
first podcast?
Yeah, so before we get into it, I think we should absolutely mention where we're sat today for our recording location.
Absolutely.
So we are with our partner Preferred Hotels and we're at the Londoner in central London at the moment. Lovely view.
What an amazing room as well. We're in the Horatio Suite on the 7th floor. And for the listeners who obviously can't see our view, but I'm overlooking Trafalgar Square, the Eye, Parliament, yeah, and it's 5 minutes from the West End.
Yeah, so central.
So ideal location.
Beautiful. Nice. So for today's episode, we're going to be discussing our favourite topic. It's if we have an appointment request for the store, it is the one that we probably fight over the most.
Absolutely.
It is safaris. We're going to be talking about where we've been, how to plan the perfect safari, and how to get it right. So I think we should start by telling our listeners where we've been in Africa. So Matt, please start.
Absolutely. So I started in South Africa about 8 or 9 years ago now. But I went to Cape Town, did the Winelands, the classic sort of garden route along the coast, and ending on the Eastern Cape Reserves in Shamwari, which was an ideal place to end. But brilliant, like that was my first time safari actually.
Yeah.
But it really hooks you in, doesn't it? So I then went back, not to South Africa, but to Kenya this time. And we did Amboseli, which has incredible views of Kilimanjaro, my favourite part about it. Savo East, Savo West, and ended in Mombasa. Have a couple of days by the beach. And then most recently, with yourself, last year we went to Botswana and Victoria Falls.
Yeah, and please let the listeners know where exactly we went in Botswana, because we moved around a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, we did 4 or 5 if you count the salt pan, but Makadikadi Game Reserve and the salt pan. Then we went over to Okavango, Maremi, and then finished in Chobe. Before driving over to Victoria Falls. Yeah,
that was such an easy crossing actually.
Really easy, yeah.
By road, you've got to hop out the vehicle when you're doing the border control. But it was a breeze, wasn't it?
Worth it. Yeah. What about you?
So I've also been to South Africa, but just Cape Town and the Winelands. And then I've been to Tanzania with Tarangire, Lake Manyara, Ngorongoro Crater and Serengeti. And then Kenya as well. Also Amboseli, known for the elephants and the Kilimanjaro. Meru, Lake Naivasha, the Masai Mara, both the park and conservancies within.
Nice. So a lot of it then.
I know, between us both, I think
we've got most of it ticked, I think.
Yeah, we're sorted, and there's more on the list. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll have it sorted.
So you mentioned like the planning of it, and there is a lot of planning that goes into a safari. And like if you get an appointment, it's never a quick appointment. It's always, lots of information, which is great. We love
That's it. You never want to rush it anyway, because there's so many tiny details to every single element. So it's a really.
So in terms of the logistics, like what goes into the planning? Where would you start?
So I think when you're starting to plan one, I think there's kind of 3 main elements. You've got your logistics, like you've mentioned. So typically that will be your transfer type, whether you're going by light aircraft or by road. Sometimes the routing will dictate the method of transport, or sometimes it will come down to personal preference. You've also got the accommodation type, and we can go through camps and lodges. Or sometimes it can be as simple as someone just having a favourite animal that they really want to see. And then we can plan the location around where's best to try and spot that animal.
Yeah. And for someone who's never done it before, they've always wanted to do it, it's a real bucket list thing to tick off, isn't it, a safari? But what would you recommend for a first-time visitor to Africa? So
for your first safari, I think, first of all, it depends on if you want to combine anything else with it, because if so, South Africa lends itself as such a good destination. You've got the city, you've got the winelands, so you can add, it's a little bit more kind of multi-dimensional. More than just safari. Exactly. Yeah. But if we're focusing on someone who does just want to do safari, then I would absolutely recommend Kenya. I think it is the quintessential safari experience. You've got those wide open plains. You've got the Maasai culture deeply rooted throughout the whole country. Very often it's light aircraft flights to get around. It's tented camps. And I just think that's that's just perfect for a first timer to visit.
Yeah. And is there anywhere in Kenya that you'd recommend, like specifically?
I think you've got to, I mean, there's so many lovely places. Some, for example, Meru's really well known for its rhino, so it's totally different up there. But regardless if you're doing a couple of spots in Kenya first or not, I think you've definitely got to remember the Masai Mara.
Yeah.
So iconic.
And it's great as well for Kenya, isn't it, to tick off Big Five?
Yes.
And I've seen so many people there. And I actually done South Africa first and never saw leopard and other animals. And it wasn't until I got to sort of East Africa and Botswana actually that I got to saw them. But Masai is particularly you'll tick off a lot, won't you?
It is, yeah. And you've just got those stunning views of kind of the acacia trees on the horizon, and I just think that is just classic. So that would be my recommendation for a first timer.
Yeah. And for someone who's done Masai before, done Kenya, and they want to get somewhere a little bit different, you know, often you find that, don't you? Like you've done the first one and they want to sort of go back, but somewhere different and see something different. What would you recommend for that?
So yeah, like you say, normally if it's a second timer, they know what they want second time around a lot more. Typically, it will be, we often get requests for the second time, they might want to chase something in particular, like the migration, they might want to see a river crossing, or they might want to try and spot a rarer animal. So if they've already seen the Big Five, they might be wanting to try and see pangolin or African wild dog. So then it's kind of moving on to that next level. Yeah,
and you mentioned migration there briefly. Often we get asked that straight away, don't we? For first timers, they'll come in and want to see that, you know, river crossing from the wildebeest. But would you recommend that for a first timer?
Not for a first timer, no. Personally, I think when you're going on your first safari, it is all so amazing. You just want to enjoy being driven out and about by your guide and seeing as much as you can. With the migration as well, a lot of people tend to kind of associate it just with Kenya, but it is in the Serengeti for the other kind of 70% of the year. And that's where I saw it, and I saw it in low season. So a lot of people will go to Kenya because they want those river crossings, but actually, even if you just Google Masai Mara river crossing migration or something like that, you will see images of hundreds of vehicles just sat, parked up at the riverbank, waiting for that first wildebeest to make the crossing. And yeah, again, if it's your first time on safari, you want to be out, you want to be exploring, you don't want to be parked
and you
up.
want to tick Big Five, don't you?
You want to tick Big Five, that's it, because you're gonna need to move away from the river to see the cats, to see the rhino. So definitely not for a first timer. But yeah, second timer, we can definitely discuss kind of where's the best spot to be if you're a keen photographer, for example, and you really want to get that shot.
Yeah. And you also mentioned about like specific animals that people want to see. We had that experience ourselves, didn't we, in Botswana, when I wanted to see a leopard because I'd never seen one. You wanted to see wild dog.
Yes.
And the guides are really good at asking you, aren't they? They'll say like, "What do you want to see today?" And we'll be like, "Oh, we've ticked off everything else. I've not seen this, and I've not seen that."
Yeah.
And we was lucky in one day to see everything, wasn't we?
We did. Yeah, it was like our perfect day almost. And we arrived into Moremi, and within about 10 minutes of driving from the airstrip to the camp.
But that morning I'd seen the leopard.
Yes.
I'd seen the leopard that morning that I'd ticked off, finally.
Yeah.
But the wild dog for you'd done loads of safari before that, let's just add. Like, you'd done way more than I have, but never seen wild dog.
And they are so rare to see as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we saw this whole pack of about 12 or 14 of them just sat in the shade. And
that was on the way from the airport,
airstrip,
10 minutes. Wasn't it, to the lodge? Yeah. So that was a really, really...
It's such a nice feeling when although you might go with a list and you want to tick them off, obviously totally out of your control, but when you do see it, it's a really exciting feeling.
And they're really sweet, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Just on that trip, like we had a bit of a mixture, and I'm sure like you stayed in East Africa as well, but a mixture of tents and lodges. And I think there is quite a big... You know, for the listeners at home that might just think a tent is a tent. It isn't, is it?
No.
So I think we need to dispel that myth a bit, really.
Absolutely.
Because they are absolutely stunning, some of them. I went to one in East Africa that had like a drinks globe in it.
Yeah.
They have his and her sinks, air conditioning sometimes, and plunge pools.
Proper furniture, like an actual bed and bedside tables and ensuite, like you say.
It's not something you sort of zip up at.
No,
you do
that's
zip
it.
sometimes, but you don't zip up from the ground.
I think people think it's like camping in England in a tiny little tent, but it's really not. And also as well in the mornings, you'll often have one of the members of the staff bring a tray of a flask of coffee or tea as well whilst you're getting up at sunrise.
Yeah,
very
absolutely. My preference would be absolutely to stay in a tent.
Yeah.
I think you feel way more sort of involved and in the middle of everything don't you? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. And also, it's the noises I love about a tent.
Yeah.
So I remember my first time on safari, falling asleep, and you could sort of hear something in the background or in the distance, but I didn't really know what it was, and I wasn't really familiar with all the noises. And then the next day at breakfast, the other guys at the table were saying it was a lion, and I was amazed that I could hear a lion whilst I'm sleeping in my tent. Obviously very, is at a safe distance, but the noise just carries. And also in the morning, being in a tent, you get to hear all the bird song as you're waking, and it just reminds you exactly where you are. Yeah. You're in the middle of nowhere.
And I think in the tents, like we mentioned noises, if you go for a lengthy time, say like 6-7 night safari, you sort of get to learn the noises, don't you?
Yeah.
So by the end, you're sort of a bit of a dap hand.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a hippo, there's a lion making noise, because it's not traditional noises that people might think. So it's quite interesting that way as well.
It is,
to be in a tent. But lodge accommodation is still amazing. In Amboseli I did that, and we was right dead centre of the national park, like views of Kilimanjaro. We saw hundreds of elephant wandering past. It's just personal preference, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And this is it. And then that can also help with making the decision on kind of where we recommend for the safari.
The other nice thing about tents is it's open, isn't it? So animals just wander through. You have to be escorted back often. So it's quite exciting just in case you sort of come head on with something.
Feels very wild.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's quite a lot included with a safari, isn't it? I mean, with the price, I think we should go into that perhaps.
Yeah, people often think, oh, it's just expensive and write it off completely, I think. Whereas actually, so much goes into it that there is quite good value. Obviously, there are better value options than others, but yeah, so much goes into it that you think actually, like, the price is worth it.
Yeah.
So for instance, we always would include transport, and that's like airstrip to camp. Often that's shared rather than private. But you'll most likely be staying on a game package, and that includes all your safari activities, your food, drink most of the time, and I can't think of, is that everything that's in the game package?
You've got your food, your drink.
Oh, sometimes laundry.
Yes.
Sometimes laundry because you have light aircraft, so it's limited on baggage, and also national park fees, which people often forget.
Yeah, which actually I'd like to mention because they do rise each year, the park fees. So if you're thinking of going on safari, the sooner you go, the better, because they do rise year on year, but that's not a negative. I do think it's actually quite a positive thing because it really helps aid conservation, but it also limits the vehicle numbers that are in that national park. So overall, it affects your game viewing experience. And the park fees can differ in price depending on if you're in a national park, a private game reserve, or a conservancy. Yeah. So it all comes into it.
And for the listeners at home that might not know the difference between what you just mentioned, with the national park and the conservancies, like what are just a quick brief of what the main differences are?
So mainly it comes down to who owns the land. So national park is owned by the government, a private game reserve is a private owner, and a conservancy is owned by the locals. And it can affect your game viewing experience when you're there. So for example, there may be rules on the times that you can enter and exit that area. There may be rules on if you can go off-roading or if you have to stick to the tracks. And there can also be rules on sightings, so how long you can stay at a sighting for. If a certain number of vehicles pull up, at what point have you got to leave? You know, there might be a vehicle number, sort of maximum number as well. So all of those things play a part depending on the area you're in, and we can obviously help with that if one of those is a big factor for your safari. So I think we've spoken about the planning quite a bit. Why don't you tell us more about a typical day on safari?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a chocker, jam-packed day, isn't it? So it can be quite tiring. Hence, like if you're in one location, like 2 or 3 nights is usually enough, isn't it? And then you go on somewhere else. But it's an early start, so 5:30, 6 in the morning. And you're often sort of woken up by a guide that will just lightly tap on your door to get you up. Yeah. Then there'll be a sort of a light breakfast, something really small, before you head out onto a game drive, which is 3.5 hours. A really nice thing out there, though, you get a nice little bush coffee shop, and you stop somewhere really nice to just have a bit of a break and stretch your legs with a tea or coffee and some biscuits. Yeah. After that, normally about 9, half 9, depending on what you're seeing, come back for a proper breakfast, and then you can just have some downtime, relax for a bit if you wanted to. Before lunch, served normally about midday. Some more downtime if you want it. And then afternoon tea. You never stop eating.
Oh, you don't. You have so much.
So they have afternoon tea there, and often they'll change cakes every day. So you sort of get excited, don't you, for the next cake that's coming.
You were.
I was. And then about 4, you get out onto your afternoon game drive, which again is about 3.5 hours. And then my absolute favourite thing there is a sundowner. And you stop at sunset somewhere really nice. Every day is different, and have your drink of choice. And
what was your drink of choice?
G&T every time.
G&T,
And they used for the bubbles, wasn't it?
Yes, I loved a fizz, but then it was a bit awkward because then you'd be trying to open a bottle in the middle of the bush without popping the cork too loudly. Yeah, that's it, disturbing.
And then after the game drive, come back, have dinner, and then all again next morning.
Yeah, that's it, sort of rinse and repeat. You've mentioned about a bit of free time that you've got during the day there. So what kind of things can our listeners be expecting to do during that free time?
Yeah, so you actually get loads of free time, I think, when you're there. Some people just want to relax because it is quite a tiring experience, isn't it? So you just want to have a bit of downtime, a bit of me time. Often the rooms have plunge pools, so people can just sit and chill in the rooms. Some of the lodges, like when we was in Larula Tower, for example, that's more like armchair safari, so you can sit on your balcony and watch everything in front of you.
And actually, just whilst we're talking about Larula Tower, which was in Makadikadi, they had a
hideout.
You
was like eye level with the animals, weren't you? It was really cool down there as well, wasn't it? Because it was shaded. But we just took some drinks down there ourselves.
We did, and it was in front of this watering hole, and we saw all these elephants and zebra as well, and little baby elephants. And you're just sat there in the shade. I remember I got to set up my camera. I think my phone was recording. Your phone was recording. And we just sat and soaked it up.
Chilled. So you can do that in a lot of them, but also safari can be quite social. You often get to share your game drive with other couples or other guests. So it's quite nice to sort of chat about what you're seeing and doing on each, and it get a bit competitive sometimes, isn't it? Like, well, I saw this, you saw that. But you can be as social as you don't. I'm not that social on holiday, whereas you like to chat, don't you? But
well, I wanted to be nosy and hear what everyone else is seeing. I remember there was one story where some other guests in a vehicle, they got to see a crocodile with a kill, and I was feeling a bit...
That was like a tug of war from a leopard and a crocodile,
wasn't it? But then we went out that afternoon and I think we saw the leopard again, or we saw, I think it was some young, and so then I felt quite smug again because we had a really good viewing.
You do get top tips though from these people. Like these people, we met one Dutch couple, didn't we? And they done safari everywhere.
They were
absolute pros.
Yeah.
And we done a walk-in safari with them in the Okavango, and she had a phone through a binocular. I remember thinking, what are you doing? So I asked her, and she was like, I'm taking like close-up shots, but not with some fancy camera that I didn't have. I just had a phone. So I used your dad's monocular and with my iPhone, got some really close-up shots.
You got really good pictures.
Really simple.
I think one's like your screensaver now still, isn't it? Yeah. You mentioned...
So that was a really good top tip.
That woman, every time it comes up on your phone, you're like, oh, that Dutch woman showed me. So you've spoken about the kind of the day-to-day safari itinerary. What about... I mean, in so many different locations in Africa, you can add on really unique experiences. So can you tell us about one of those that...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did one in Botswana, but I mean, that stood out for me because it was, one, unusual.
So unusual.
So we went to the Larula Tower in the Makadikadi first. And if you stay there 3 nights, depending on availability and weather and the time of year, you get to go to the Makadikadi salt pans, which I believe is the 2nd largest salt pan in the world, but I'll... have to fact check that. But you can do a sleep out. So it's about a 6-hour drive out of the actual camp itself. And even the drive's quite interesting. Like you say 6 hours, it is quite long, it's quite dusty. But you do get to see the landscape change from sort of the camp when it's quite bushy and quite lush. Not lush, but green. And it goes like down a more arid and arid the closer you get, deserty. And then all of a sudden you sort of enter this ancient dried up lake.
It's like being on the moon,
it really
isn't it?
is. It's real like lunar landscape, isn't it? Crunchy. It's quite strange, like dead flat, and you can't see anything on the horizon at all. And even on that, you're driving for a while, aren't you? Just flat, nothing. And they gave us like snoods, didn't they, to cover up from the dust. But all of a sudden, you sort of arrive, and there's this sort of campfire, a couple of vehicles where the staff are already there. And there was like 4 or 5 mattresses just set up there with sort of tables and things around it. So then that's your camp for the night. And this particular experience, there's no tents. You completely sleep outside
under the stars,
on top of the mattress.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, the stargazing was incredible.
So good.
Really good.
We got to see, is it Orion's belt? And we had Scorpio pointed out to us as well.
Yeah, and the guides, they sort of turn from rangers with animals to sort of stargazers.
Yeah.
And he got his really powerful laser out, didn't he, and started showing us like different constellations. But it was really impressive how everything we needed was there. There was a full bar. Like we're in the middle of a salt can and there's a full bar of sipping on a gin and tonic. Ice. We had a 3-course dinner. We was there, fortunately, with 6 other guests who we really got on well with.
Yeah,
so we had a really good evening with them. So yeah, the sunset there was incredible.
Yeah, because you would literally, because like you say, there was nothing on the horizon. So it sounds really silly, but you really would see the sun just disappear. End at the end of the day, like it was. Like the Earth was flat with the edge of the world.
You actually said as well, didn't you? Like you'd never seen a shooting star. And you said, I won't go to sleep until I've seen a shooting star. And instantly we saw one.
Yeah.
It's like, right, night then.
It was perfect timing.
It was.
And then in the morning, I remember waking up, because obviously you do wake up when the sun rises and the moon was still in the sky. And then again, you would see the sun just appearing over that horizon. And they had a campfire going, they had eggs going, they had sausages, they had a really lovely breakfast for us, didn't they?
And typically, like on safari, it was an early start because sunrise, obviously, you're woken up by that. But to end it, like we ended it the best possible way. We got a helicopter transfer back. It was about half hour, so it saved so much time. But it was such an amazing experience just seeing, and I remember actually when he took off, he sort of took a really low sort of takeoff, and we, you know, I felt a bit like
sort of glided
out
over.
of Mission Impossible, something like that. It was vast, like to see it from a height.
Yeah, and when you just said about Mission Impossible, it was funny because of like how he landed. He just kept the blades going.
Yeah,
and we sort of ran and ducked with our bags. We felt like we were in
the other guests were really impressed, wasn't they?
They were. Yeah. It was a really good way to leave that area.
What about you though? I mean, you've done some incredible things.
I mean, that I think is shared with you as number one. But another really interesting experience I had, and again, sort of from height, was I did a hot air balloon in the Serengeti, and it was during migration. So that was amazing. Another early start, like you say, is a bit of a theme here. But we set off before sunrise, and then as we sort of slowly went up, it just makes you feel absolutely tiny because you just see the vast kind of Serengeti beneath you. You see the hundreds of wildebeest and zebra following, and you see them, it sounds silly, but literally migrating, like they know the direction to go in. And it was really silent as well when we were up there, so you could sort of hear them making their noises below. I think
how long were you up there? How long?
I think we were flying for maybe 45 minutes to an hour or so. Great for photography, so we were all busy snapping away. And then when you land, you've got a fleet of vehicles ready to take you to where they set up breakfast. So it's always traditional with a hot air balloon that you have your breakfast sort of all laid out for you, and you toast it with a glass of fizz. And it's something to do with the very first hot air balloon flight that took place, which was in France. And that's why they use champagne.
Toast a safe landing.
Yeah, exactly. And they still carry that on.
It's not quite an elegant landing that people might think, though, is it?
It's not. It wasn't an elegant get going either, because we got in as the basket was on its side. So you sort of crawl in, and then we were sort of lying on our back, and then it sort of tilted upright, and then we went off. And then again, the same on the way back, you sort of brace to land on your side, and then you'll get out kind of quarter by quarter. So a bit bumpy, but expected. Yeah, exactly. This is just absolutely making me want to go back. We haven't got anything booked now, have we?
No. And it is absolutely, like we mentioned, you can go back again and again and again and do something different. Yeah. We mentioned Larue there again. I know that's been mentioned a couple of times, but it's also the second migration, isn't it?
Yes.
After East Africa.
Yeah, so you've got the zebra migration down there. So again, you can see them in their hundreds, and they're moving towards that water source. So another kind of unique thing to be looking out for. But where is next for you, would you say?
Well, there's so many points that I want to go back to, but I loved Botswana. That was, like, for me, like the best destination I've been to so far. So I'd love to do more of that.
Yeah.
Because there's more camps that are coming up that I'd like to visit.
Yeah.
But also I was really impressed with Victoria Falls when we went.
Yes.
I was quite ignorant before we went and just thought, it's going to be sort of waterfalls and nothing more. But there was so much there in terms of wildlife as well.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do more Zimbabwe.
Yeah, and we also did cross into Zambia as well for the day. We went to
briefly,
Livingstone, and that looked like a really interesting town. And
it did, yeah.
We've got like a couple of museums and a market and stuff.
A nice train that goes over the bridge.
Yes, the train, yeah.
How about you? What's next on your list?
I would love to go to Rwanda.
Yeah.
I'd really like to do gorilla trekking, and I mean, you know, I'm quite a lazy person.
You are, yeah.
But it's still on the list to
That'd be
go
worthwhile,
there.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you can only do an hour's hiking season.
Well, this is
lucky.
it, because they kind of pair or group you up in terms of fitness levels. So I'll happily go in the slower group.
Yeah.
And hopefully we won't be
trekking too long.
There's an amazing
hotel there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, the one and only.
Yeah.
They got two actually, but yeah, the Gorillas Nest. So
yeah.
Who knows? We'll see. So I think it's time we move on to our regular segment, a game that we've got, which is called Check In, Check Out. So from each episode, we'll come up with 5 things to do with the topic that we've spoken about, and then both Matt and I will check in or check out. So to begin with, a digital detox in the bush. Are you checking in or checking out?
No, I'm checking in on that. I think you're forced to do so anyway, because Wi-Fi and everything is just not readily available in a lot of them. So yeah, absolutely checking in. I think it's really nice to sort of be at one with your surroundings.
Yeah. Also checking in. Exactly like you say, it's just nice to kind of soak up the wilderness and not feel so kind of stuck to your phone. So yeah, checking in. Next one, private plunge pool at your tent.
Absolutely checking in. I think a lot of them, they're so hot as well, these places sometimes. It's nice just to have a little dip, cool down. Yeah, so absolutely checking in. You?
Checking out. I've had a private plunge pool at the tents before, and I'll be honest, I haven't used them.
No.
So, wasted on me. Light aircraft transfers. Checking in or checking out?
It's all about speed for me. I don't mind the transfers anyway, but absolutely, light aircraft transfers all the way. Yeah. It's so much quicker. They're a bit bumpy, and sometimes you do think, oh God, like it might be nice on the road. But equally, they're really nice. I remember being sat next to the pilot, landing at Okavango, like you see the airstrip. So it's a really good experience. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, checking in as well. Again, like you say, just for the timing. But it is a really cool experience because you're not flying super high, so you can still see down to the land below. You can see like little villages or kind of groups of buildings, and really interesting.
Yeah.
A walking safari, checking in or checking out?
I'm checking in. I think I might know what your answer is going to be, but I'm checking in. I really enjoyed it, and we got to see loads, didn't we?
We did. We saw a lion, which was
really up close.
Oh, how far was it?
50 metres or so
50
away.
50 metres?
Yeah, so I'm checking in.
Yeah. I mean, it was good, like you say, but I'm going to check out. I do prefer to just sit and be driven around. Yeah, so I'll be checking out. And a bush beverage, checking in or checking out?
I think I've alluded to it already, but it's my absolute favourite part of an afternoon game drive. Is a sundowner.
You'd be counting down to the sundowner. From the minute you were up, you're like, oh, can't wait for that.
And every time I had one, I was like, this is my favourite time of the day.
Yeah.
And absolutely, with a gin and tonic every single time.
Yeah.
I know you would as well.
I would. But also, I want to say I really enjoyed another bush beverage of choice would be the teas in the morning.
Yeah,
that was so nice. As you're getting up so early, and it sort of gets to around about 9 a.m. or so, and then you stop for a little cup of tea and a biscuit or coffee, whatever your drink is. But I really enjoyed that in the morning as well.
That's the first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
How do you think it went?
Do you know what? Hopefully, okay.
Do you think our listeners found us interesting?
Yeah, hopefully Gary did as well.
Hopefully. Yeah, he's telling us to wrap up a little bit now. Yeah. We could honestly talk about safaris for till the cows
it's definitely one of them things. Like we mentioned it at the very beginning, but an appointment is always best for a safari holiday.
Yeah.
And like in Shenfield, like we offer appointments, and they're the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Because we go into everything in that one time, don't we?
That's it. And there's so many choices to choose from and everything like that, so we can break it down so it doesn't seem so overwhelming, and we can help guide you. I think with a safari, whether you're into the wildlife, the landscapes, the culture, or if you just want to be outdoorsy, then you can make it as luxurious or as wild as you want to be each time.
And no two trips are the same, are they, with Africa? So you can go back again and again and again and see something completely different.
Yeah.
So it really does depend on what you want to see, logistics, how much time you've got, and that's what we will go through at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, if this has inspired you or it's made you think of a safari that you've been on that you've really enjoyed, let us know. We're on Spotify and YouTube. Please share with someone who you think might be interested as well. Or the best thing you can do is pop into our store where we will gladly talk for as long as you've got about safaris and share our experiences.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.